More questions this morning over the security failures that allowed Thomas Crooks to get a direct shot at former President Trump on Saturday. Sources tell Fox News that Butler Township Police flagged the Secret Service over a lack of manpower near the building that Crooks scaled and shot from. A New York Post headline says, quote, Trump rally shooter Thomas Crooks tracked ex-president's appearances for months. 3 people were shot at the rally, 1 fatally. Right now in Pennsylvania, private funeral underway for Corey Comparatore. The volunteer fire chief died while shielding his family in the crowd. Let's bring in Kara Frederick, former DOD counterterrorism analyst. And Kara, the big question in this investigation is how in the world that rooftop was left uncovered. In the world of the Secret Service and presidential campaign events, it is an absolute no-no for an elevated platform with line of sight to where the president is going to be to remain either unblocked or unprotected. Do you have any theories as to what might have happened?
No, I think we're clearly not getting the full picture here because, as you intimated, this is physical security 101. And the fact that that rooftop was not secured is a massive oversight. So in terms of theorizing on what happened, it is critical for a security plan to have your local law enforcement, to have your state officials, and to have your federal authorities all coordinating. It appears that there was some sort of lapse in coordination here. But what I think the bigger question is there are reports that he was surveilling President Trump's movements over the course of months. How do we not know how he was surveilling? Do we, what digital platforms was he using to do it? Every type of sensor that the world is saturated with right now emits what we call a digital exhaust. They should be able to track down his geolocation based off of the digital surveillance platforms he was supposedly using. They should have a pattern of life for this kid. They should have content emanating out of that to paint a more fulsome intelligence picture to get after this guy. The fact that that wasn't done beforehand, and it doesn't appear to be, they don't appear to be exploiting that data, at least accurately for the public to see now. This is a massive oversight as well.
You know, an intriguing little development in all of this, according to Congressman Michael Waltz from Florida, in that briefing with the Secret Service and the FBI, members of Congress were told that Crooks had 3 encrypted accounts on overseas platforms.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. So today we have got to talk about this shooter, this Trump shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks. He had 3 overseas accounts. You are not going to want to miss this. This is getting worse and worse by the moment. And I'm telling you, it's all leading to something that seems similar to what happened to JFK, but it looks a lot, but it didn't turn out the same way, of course. But I'm talking about the infrastructure behind what they tried to do with Donald Trump. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, watch the video all the way to the end. Now let's get into it.
On overseas platforms, I don't think the nature of the platforms was described. We don't know if they were financial accounts or if they were social media accounts or some other kind of account. But now there appears to be some sort of international component to all of this.
Yeah, and I think this is so interesting too. But as something I did for almost 10 years with the government and then with the big tech company, what you do is you can extract data from these platforms. You can figure out, you know, who were these platforms that he was supposed to be using, even if they were encrypted. Who was he talking to? What are his IP addresses? Can you geolocate him to those physical locations? This is something tech companies can do. Was he using aliases? Are there any? What are the connections to that network via those platforms? Like you said, we don't know the nature of those encrypted overseas accounts, but there are people who are in the government, even who are outside of the government, who can work to exploit that information that those accounts would convey. So,
oh, another thing that came to my mind as well is that those, you know, the FBI is supposed to be doing the, you know, investigation, of course, right? Like we really, yeah. Like they're really credible. But anyway, they can't seem to break into his phone, the last I heard. They're able to get into everybody else's phone, but they can't get into this guy's phone. Oh, I know what I think, but I'm going to wait. But I'm giving my clues as to what I think really, really happened. You know, when people really want to win an election, you know, when they're behind in the polls, you know, I'm just saying, And people can get desperate. People can get really, really desperate.
The hearing next week should give us a lot of answers because this is happening. The public is just not aware of what actually is going on.
All right, so we've got hearings next week, but a bigger question in all of this is, given the security failures and how these erupted and the fact that we know almost nothing about Crooks and what his motivations might have been, does there need to be a, in the wake of the Kennedy assassination, the Warren Commission was struck. Now, a lot of that was political cover for Lyndon Johnson, but do we need to have something of that level?
He just brought up the Kennedy assassination. You guys, I did a video on Lyndon Baines Johnson. I'll link it at the end of this one, and his Kennedy connection. Lyndon Baines Johnson instituted the Warren report to do an investigation. And he just said, this anchor right here said a lot of that was political cover for Lyndon Baines Johnson, because Lyndon Baines Johnson did what he did to the Kennedys. Okay, that's why I say a lot of these things that are happening are coming from, they're coming from way up the chain of command. They're coming from way up because people can get desperate. Okay, they want what they want. And you guys look at Lyndon Baines Johnson. He was a horrible president. And Black people are talking about, well, he signed the Civil Rights Act. See, it was a Democrat president that signed the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. He was a racist and he was under pressure to sign it. He didn't want to. And he said he'll have those ends voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And I'm telling you, he did what he did to the Kennedys. Period. So a lot of people just don't know history. They just don't know.
Level to look into this.
Oh, I completely agree with that. Yes, Congress has oversight capabilities. And you look at the senators trying to track down the head of Secret Service as she's walking away from them. That is a reverse of how this is supposed to work, right? Our senators and our representatives, they represent the American people, and the heads of those federal agencies, they work for us. They work for us. She should not be evading those questions. There's a measure of transparency here that the American people are owed, because I'll tell you what, John, this does not pass the smell test. The fact that a 20-year-old would not have a heavy social media presence or minimal presence at all, and that in the face of that, he would have better operational security than the seasoned Al-Qaeda operatives that I tracked down over the course of years, doesn't pass the smell test. The American people deserve answers. Let's give it to them, Congress.
And if one 20-year-old kid can breach security as this one did, imagine if it was actually, if we've heard that Iran wanted to take the president out. If they sent an actual trained team, God knows what would have happened that day. 3
overseas accounts. We don't know what kind of accounts those are. My mind immediately goes to financial, because anytime the anchor here mentioned the Kennedy assassination. Well, there's always a fall guy, and the fall guy gets taken out. And that fall guy for Kennedy was Lee Harvey Oswald, and he was taken out by Jack Ruby, and Jack Ruby was taken out. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, the corruption. And it's been that way for hundreds of years. Ever since our country has been a country, this has been what has been happening. People want to win elections, and they do what they want. They do what they have to do. And it's just amazing to me that he brought up the Kennedy assassination and all these independent investigations, we're going to launch an FBI investigation. That really doesn't give me any hope or any confidence that this will be done appropriately. And from what I did hear, they could not break into his phone.
Motive behind the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump continues. The FBI now says it has gained access to the phone belonging to the shooter, Matthew Crooks. They did say that they had problems getting past its password protections.
So joining us now is Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes. And Khalif, of course, we know getting access to someone's personal phone isn't always an easy process. I mean, we have our lives on these things.
These devices tell a telling picture into a criminal investigation, though. In my homicide cases, every one of them that I have, if there is a phone connected, if there's multiple co-defendants, you'll have maybe 5, 6, 7, or 8 phones. And each one of those phones tell a different story. You can look at their search history. You can look at their purchase history, most recent text messages, social media. I mean, it gives you paints a very, very detailed picture of who that person was, if it's a defendant, if it's a victim, or if it's someone connected to the crime. And so the cell phone, getting access to it, is the first step to trying to figure out exactly what happened. Obviously, this will be a great step in the right direction.
But getting access can be difficult sometimes, even it's just getting past the passwords that they were saying there, but also with the tech companies that fight this type of thing where they don't want to give the privacy away. Remember back in 2015 with the San Bernardino shooting.
It's a lose-lose battle for a phone manufacturer, for any type of company, specifically looking at Apple with these iPhones. When in the San Bernardino shooting, they attempted to get access, the FBI did, and they wanted Apple to give them a back door, and Apple refused. And you got to think about it from a purchaser perspective. If you're buying this device knowing that the person I bought it from or the company I bought it from can now on the back end open it up so law enforcement can get access to your device with or without a warrant, that could be problematic, and you don't want to be the company that's doing that. And so they rejected it. Even after the court was attempting to force them to do it, they went back and sued and said, look, you guys are violating our rights to privacy and a number of other challenges. And so ultimately they used an outside company to get access to that device, a small known company at this time. And the FBI was sure to say today that they didn't have to do that they were able to open it on their own without Apple and without this third-party company. And so it does open a Pandora's box, because you want to ensure that you sell a product that is free from some type of unwanted intrusion, but you also want to give access to the device when you can help the investigation. So it really puts them in a bad situation.
Bad situation indeed. But at the level of importance of this particular investigation, they can get into that phone if they really wanted to get into that phone. You guys tell me what you think, because right now, it's not looking good. You guys know about that Kim Cheadle, who's the director of the Secret Service, and she just failed miserably, and she's got to answer some questions real soon. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Also, I want you guys to visit C60 EVO Organic Oils. This is an amazing company, American-owned, organic health and beauty products that will be sure to make you feel better and look younger. Don't forget to input the discount code ChatWithLinda or LindaB to get your discount. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, the United States of America. And as I always say, march on, warriors.